Well, that's the intent. The intent is to have this discussion before the planning commission. To explain the project to the planning commission, to explain the project to the board of supervisors. Welcome any constructive or unconstructive comments for that. That's this is a project that doesn't that's out of your comfort zone. Nolan would rather know that back now than late. They believe that this is a good project. They believe that they've met the spirit as well as the letter of the formal conditional use hearing, and they're very happy to be here, and they're excited about the possibility of increasing the services that they provided to the residents.
I mean, personally speaking, I think it's a good trade-off. Simply shelter on the eye. It is working on. As you guys know, we don't need to vote on the schedule end, but comments. The engineering side, if it's all taken care of.
So with good fortune, there will be an appearance before the supervisors. If the supervisors give Nolan encouraging words, there will be a formal hearing before the zoning hearing board. If the zoning hearing board believes that the variances have merit, then the next step will be the formal land development plan. In this instance, it will require a development plan. Nobody's challenging that.
Understood.
Everything.
Everybody's good? All right. Well, thank you for coming in this evening.
Well, thank you for your helpful comments. It's nice seeing you again. And hopefully I'll see you.
Take care. Have a good evening.
Okay, good night.
Next victim, Mr. Leahy. Oh. How are you?
Yeah. Good see. Okay. So it will be.
Well, that's. Are you solo?
I am. I'm representing Craig.
It's got you doing everything, huh? '59 County Line Road. You can introduce your party, the project. Great.
My name's Rachel Bush with Joe Walker. No.
Familiar.
Kevin Lene, he is here presenting Brook Enterprises or right. So we submitted a sketch plan for review. We have a review from Gilmore dated May 16, 2023. This is a 5-acre piece of property on County Line Road between Bova Foods and Fire Street. A long, narrow, angular shaped lot. It was previously owned by Fire's Choice. I don't know if it was subdivided off, but it was purchased by Brook Enterprises quite a while ago. So there's an existing building on the property that's about 15,000 square feet, currently used by PC Rankin, which is the roofing contractor. The existing lot is non-conforming only with respect to lot width. So the existing, they want 300 feet, the ordinance was 300 feet for lot width, and it's only 200 feet. And then there's a side yard, existing non-conforming as well by about 2 feet. 25 foot side yard is required, and 23 is what the existing building, is where the existing building is located. Previously, I guess because the property was owned by Buyer's Choice, so an access easement between there's driveway connections and access easements that were in existence, here and here. But it's my understanding that those agreements had a term to them and they've since expired. So they no longer, active. So the addition is about 31,000 square feet. Portions of this are intended to be used by kids, and then the portions that they don't need based on their demand will be and is intended to be available for lease. Kevin, you want to expand a little bit on your needs and what
Yeah,
your-
currently our need would be up to 50% of the rest of it. You want to come before the board and, done, and maybe have the approvals and makes the random sections of it, like for a landscape or like an office front and garage in the back. Basically just store.
You're looking for flexibles.
Exactly, right, per contract, basically. So, based on units, I think we have 9 here, right? The way it's thinking, so we're gonna take the majority to start, but the idea was to have this in place for future use. Not a guarantee that's gonna happen, but to have that possibility.
Just kind of interrupt there. I'd make sure you go over everything with the zoning officer, because your existing is warehouse K3. Posing K.
Right, he actually, I confirmed that, K5 is what, K5 is the contract. That's what, if that's what this plan should say, that's what their current use is, and that's what the previous, zoning hearing board decisions, identified.
Okay.
The current use as. The parking requirements are the same, no matter what, whether we're K3 or K5.
Okay. Well, I was more looking at, which is good. Right there. Certain criteria. Okay. So. But you talked to them after.
He just confirmed that the current use was K5.
Okay.
That's how we left.
Okay.
So. Kind of based on the sketch plan review that we received, there's a couple. There's a, because this property in the rear here is technically, residential. So there's a 75-foot buffer that's required. So, the existing stormwater basin that was put in place, I guess when the building was originally constructed. But so there is room for a 70, it's already wooded right now. So there's a 75-foot buffer, and that'll be put in a conservation easement, which is what's required by the ordinance. As far as impervious stormwater, we're trying to either have a very minimal increase, or keep it right just at the exactly where it is right now. This plan shows about a 5,000 square foot increase. We're adding some parking back here to get the quantity up. So that's where that. Far as, start meeting the requirements of the ordinance and, based on change the letter. Our intent is to comply with the zoning ordinance and not need to ask for any zoning relief from the city. The parking, the quantity of parking is a little bit of a challenge. But since these connections are no longer active, we're gonna rearrange the parking in the rear and, keeping in mind, we're gonna need to have fire truck, circulation. So what we're looking at is a fire truck can come in here and, turn, and then we turn and get that down. Maybe leave this as a paved area, but still have it as a closed off connections for that, the trucks and the traffic from fires, which is not there.
Bring it out. Block off. Who are all right. Did one first vote early. Also, the increased size, the addition is not going to increase any employees. For CP Rankin, say, out, and that would be a couple for you, but equally, it's not going to increase on our end because of the.
So like I said, the intent will be to comply with the zoning items, we don't need to go to the parent board. We'll do a revision to the sketch and, yeah, you know, share it with the zoning officer to see if there's any initial feedback. Make sure that we're, you know, there aren't any, zoning items still out there. There are a couple waivers. I guess there are, maybe 20 or so Saldo comments. Most of them are going to be will comply. The waivers that I wanted to talk about are related to curbing in the parking area. So I think we're gonna end up wanting to ask for a waiver from putting parking along the exterior. Sorry, putting curbing along the exterior of the parking to let the water run off by doing. And then the other thing maybe we want to talk about tonight, I don't know how much we want to get into the details of it, but the road, the frontage improvements. So actually, it's already widened most of the frontage along the property from this corner up to about, I think it's 35 feet from the edge of the property line. They're already widened to the cartway width that the ordinance one, and there's already curbing. So there's a little kind of triangle in this area that is not widened and does not have curb. Gilmore's letter indicates that, I guess there's been some discussion of traffic light at this intersection, which would probably involve turning lanes. I'm sure it would affect this property some way as far as right away, as far as what type of frontage improvement would be appropriate. So we're intending at this point to ask for a waiver from widening, from doing this little 35-foot section now, with the understanding that whenever that traffic light would be put in, that could possibly not be quite right, but what's needed for that, those intersection improvements. And then sidewalks along the same vein, there aren't any sidewalks. There's a subdivision 2 properties over, but there's no sidewalks here to connect to. So we would look for a waiver on installing new sidewalks on the frontage there.
You can try to drive up and down, do you do, there are sidewalks that they're trying to get in sidewalks. Oh, wow,
Along the length of county line.
yeah, to go up to the railroad.
There is some in front of the, is it Vertus? Yeah,
There's more, they keep trying, and Montgomery Township's really pushing for the signal. Who's gonna pay for it? Pretty realistic. It's development coming in there, we're getting money, it's not saying it's anything for that, but it's gonna be a big signal. People upset about where PennDOT stopped. It's County Line Road. So we'll have to try to work some of that out, that's probably. Some issue. Because I know that we're going to be next to it, and it looks like you're going planning for the future, so we can kind of address all that. I hate to have you do something and that comes back.
Right.
So I agree with that part, but maybe the right of way dedication or easements or something, so we have all the land secured,
Mhm.
and it's just rather not. Depend on how to say. Make its recommendation. We just kind of threw it all out there, so that's something we can probably discuss all.
are there, so there are actual design
Not yet.
plans, okay,
Really engineering code,
okay,
so I will know.
Okay.
They in German office is going to.
Okay.
Butler is approved behind Wawa for the 44 units, that was. Stream push signal. Signal, they give contributions to. We got other groups you'd like to do in the area. Signal would be fixed. Get a quite larger project, but much bigger, that's, it would be different, but I don't think you're gonna generate too much more traffic from yourself. So we can talk offline, I think we'll need. I don't think the planning commission wants to pay that.
Could you just clarify what you just talked about, are sidewalks required to be put in?
We've been, I mean, for years, we've been trying, and it's hard. Yeah, and fire, you know, and there's right on the other side of your, the creek and it's top and hot. Trying to be down. It's not easy. That'll be something we need to discuss.
Does Montgomery County have any say in this?
Not
Does
this
the
part,
parks and-
they just push the first thing. I still think they have plans to do.
So I guess your biggest, the biggest relief you need is the width of the building, is that correct?
Oh,
The width.
should be a by right plan. for zoning.
You said the building.
There, the existing,
The exist 300, 200 right now.
it's existing non-conforming lot.
Oh, yeah. You're trying to get a clean, everything.
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
we're trying to figure out how to make that,
Okay.
make that work. I think between the balance of the impervious and the size of the building, I think we can get. Or it's a lot of spaces for.
Fire marshal, yeah.
We have not gotten a review from the fire marshal.
Check. Janine mentioned about whether he uses the connection to buyer's choice, but it sounds like it blocks. I mean,
It's blocked. It was when the building was originally purchased, or so they would have access or buy. For Christmas shows that they had.
Yeah,
and stuff, because that overflow parking. And then that was only like a 2-year window, closed many years ago, so. We put stuff there to block it now. Just so the employees don't park back there and start getting paid or anything like that, so.
Actually. Do you have the letter, Brian?
Yeah.
There's a comment number 12 in the zoning about curbing in the parking area. So the way I'm interpreting this is that we are complying as far as the zoning ordinance, that we're gonna be asking for a waiver from the Saldo for the location of the curbing. Curbing is required by zoning on the landscape island, like to direct traffic, but it's not required by zoning on the perimeter. So the way I'm looking at that is we're meeting zoning and not down.
Instant vote, because if they can move from Salvo, then that's really. Get a variance. Yeah, I suggest go through and whichever ones, I don't know if you did a response letter or not. We can have an interview. Go through some of the issues. There's quite a bit of zoning. I don't think the plan commission is going to be another one, so. Maybe we can talk about the having. That way you're not held up for that. I'd like to have some of those answers before we get in front of the board. Same thing, you have every right to go in front of the board. I think we can do that next.
You mean before going in front of the board with discussion?
Yeah, like for input from that. It's not a big project.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have as many issues as the other. Yeah. If we can work everything out, stay up level engineering. See a need for. You can do a work session. You know, with the meeting to say. June 5th work session. We have to pretty quickly on that, if not, you'd be in. August work session, first meeting.
Right.
But if you just want to come and present your project, introduce yourself. Yeah, you're really pushing. Yeah, maybe it's better. It depends on your timeline. If you're not in your area, we can meet in June and work out some issues and then come present August, but if you're pretty clean and you can just stay in front of the site.
Okay.
So you can talk to me about that. Their staff meets next week, so special staffing with everybody, so it's too late. Do that.
We don't see any issues that can be resolved, so it's. Everybody good? Any questions? Other comments? No? We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Richardson Road, yeah.
It's a cross.
It's top, it's under the top, I think it's not, we're done, it's down, yeah. Right, the next discussion is. Are we? Discussing the sketch plan?
That's a sure thing, but we put it off for.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, so, well, here's the thing with the sketch plan, we had a lot of conversations throughout the years. It's proper, no, it's not required, but it's proper being heard by the residents. What's possibly coming in their direction. And there's two different type of opinions out there. One is it could soften the initial shock. But help the developers kind of. Like we're doing tonight, comply to. The wants of the residents. Their preferences. Is that gonna make it easier at these meetings? Is that gonna make it easier for the development? For the developer, I should say, my thoughts is. Yes, I think it would ease up some of the tensions that we have at some of these meetings. People that really don't know that this is happening in their neighborhood. So I just want to get everybody's take on it to see if that's something we should incorporate. And you know, the pluses and the minuses doing that.
What are the negatives?
Well, that's what we're discussing. That's what we just said. Well, I don't.
I was gonna, we're actually already in a draft change.
Yeah, last what I read, it was, we're gonna wait. In the comments said you guys gonna wait to discuss it before I got back.
We did, but I'm saying staff, we have to work in the same parallel. You must have mentioned someone. If you didn't, just change.
Yeah,
And I'm honestly tired of sitting here and nobody's here. And he's, you know, let's take this isn't being. Don't do. Because the neighbors are here.
well, I discussed it with Matt.
And so they think everything's great, and I'm not gonna speak on behalf of the residents, because they're not here, maybe they like it, but. To your point, doesn't do a lot of benefit with sketch plans. Unless they're not, if we're beyond that, we're trying to figure out. Do we do a sketch plan and then also again a preliminary, or just one sketch plan? You know, till someone comes back again, so I think really enjoy just do it. Lisa think?
Yeah.
So Janine's already, I think, put that in the draft, we're doing some amendments to some of the developments. Okay. And we already actually, we all agree. Brought up, Teresa's been saying that, so we'll move that up to sketch plan and. There's no benefit to like tonight, I think, because it's just the applicant saying how great it is.
Right.
And I'm just not, in, but we've other ones told them, I want to know that about feedback early so we can react to it.
It's great.
I don't like the one job, you know, Pasadena was 5 lots and we had it all worked out. Devon spoke the next day, because oh, either you weren't prepared or it's like you have it in for, well, I'm like, no, we spent a year working on it. I already know, I've already guided them and staff, and we got to this point, but then wait till the residents show up and now they have different issues that we didn't anticipate, and it's not fair to both sides. There's a lot of time and money working. And it'd be nice to get that input at the beginning.
To say, I'm not very. Sympathetic about it, but I felt bad for that. Because I think it's hard.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? You're gonna be surprised. I mean, I just talked to the engineer on Monday and they want to come back. I said, "Are you sure you want to come to the board just preliminary and then do it again?" Please, no, we met with rep. I'm sure you guys know more than I do. They've appealed, or hopefully just about everybody, and there may be a couple not buttoned yet, but Joe's been trying real hard to get everybody, and he does the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I felt for him that.
Yeah. Sometimes he has so much experience, or like we get a little frustrated when you're talking and they don't understand, but,
Right.
yeah, I got a positive feedback, but that was on his side. So yes,
For every, I think, I just don't see a negative.
No, I was just asking the question.
Yeah, no, it's very, very,
So good.
yeah.
All right,
So, wait, does that become part of the ordinance then? or
Yeah,
does
so
it-
what we're doing is, right, get the section. Update. This, every time something comes up. Hey, we got weakness, like, I don't like talking about curve in the zoning. If they don't wanna do that, with the curve section, you don't see. So we gotta make sure we defer this out of the design. firm. And Weeks like that, when we're cleaning up the southern end of.
the only thing is to control, to make sure that, you know, it doesn't become like an anti-development or anti-project right away. It's gonna have to be like run that, hey, we're all here to work this out together. And, you know, you're welcome to throw your ideas at us. But, if by right, people have the right to develop it. That's what people have.
What exactly will be happening? So you got to let the community know?
Yeah, I put a certain amount of feet away from any project, you know, and
1,000 square feet.
1,000 square
Mhm.
feet. Then
Radius.
usually for sketch plans, the residents don't need to be notified. Decide to notify the residents to try to.
Yeah, I know you see it a lot on community Facebook page for people.
Yeah.
Wait to the very top.
I feel like it's already done, but
Yeah.
meanwhile, it's been presented before, right?
Motion to adjourn.
So,
Will be horrible.
But I will say. Second, okay. Okay, meeting adjourned. See you guys. Are we off the